There you go.
We'll begin with seated meditation, finding our seat.
Right here.
As I like to say, a dignified posture, a place where we can be alert and relaxed, and make some effort, just the appropriate effort to notice what's happening. Notice our feet on the floor. Notice the position of our legs, the contact they make. Just feeling the weight of our body on the earth. Notice how our spine supports our body. In our hands and arms, just resting, making contact. Bring attention to the in-breath, the feeling of the breath going in, and the breath going out. Breathing in energy, breathing out relaxation. Notice the pause after the out breath. And the pause after the in breath. Just sitting and breathing. Noticing something that's not breath that gets our attention. Sounds. Thoughts. Body sensations, perhaps an itch or an ache. Just noticing those with kind acceptance. Coming back to the breath. Here we are, November 16th. We have a dinosaur tea party going on in the next room. Thank you for allowing me to take off last week. So tonight we're doing weeks 5 and 6 together. And I just realized this year that the first 4 weeks, noticing the breath, noticing the body with the body scan and the mindful movement and walking meditation and the eating meditation and being mindful of thoughts and emotions. Those 4 weeks were primarily inner directed, allowing us to understand what's going on here in this body, in this space here, in this mind, this body, this heart. And weeks 5 and 6 are outer directed. Never noticed that before. So it's nice that we could do them together. Loving kindness, which is extending that mindfulness out. And tonight we're also going to do some work on mindful communication, also outer directed. I've had, over the years, some difficulty with loving kindness meditation. I often felt, what do these phrases, thinking well of other people, really have to do with learning about ourselves and being mindful? But as I just said, I'm learning that this practice intentionally brings our awareness broader. So we talked right away about how kindness is so important, because sometimes we tend to beat ourselves up for our life and for our meditation. Our mind keeps wandering. Oh, I have to come back again. And we realize that's not what it's about. It's noticing and being kind and saying, yes, this all happens. I'm going to keep at it. So this meditation, loving kindness, extends that kindness out from ourselves wider. Sharon had a nice little thing about it toward the end of the chapter that was meaningful to me. She said that loving kindness meditation practice doesn't require pretending to feel things you don't. It's not about forcing yourself to like everyone. It's really an experiment in attention, in being more fully present with ourselves and others, in being willing to step out of the rut of habit and look at ourselves and others in a different way. It trains the brain to make us more empathic and more capable of reading subtle emotional states. So it is a mindfulness practice. And it's a very powerful practice. Richie Davidson, who studies meditation at University of Wisconsin, documents that the brain changes, positive brain changes that occur in long-time meditators who do loving kindness as their practice, is the most pronounced of anything they found. I met a woman at a weekend retreat for prison volunteers this summer who's been going to prisons for 25 years. And her daily practice, her regular practice, is loving kindness meditation. She was very wise. And I've also heard from several people in the past week how meaningful it's been to them. So it's worthwhile. And if I can't do it all, my whole practice, I find I can spend 10 minutes a day at it. And that is meaningful. It is helpful. So the traditional way it's done is to say certain phrases. And we did this at the Kettle Moraine prison this week, and my friend and colleague, Steve, led it. And he was talking about these four phrases, four traditional phrases, and their broader meaning and how they bring us to be aware of other people. So, first one, may you be safe, is about, that's like the prerequisite to becoming mindful. If we're not safe, we're worried about our survival. It's going to be very hard to really be present. We're going to be in that reptilian brain where we're freeze, flee, or fight. So that's a prerequisite. So that first one, may you be safe, is wishing that ourselves and others have that first step to becoming awakened. And the second and third are a little higher levels of something we need in order to be awake. May you be healthy. If we're sick, if we're in a lot of pain, it's hard to be mindful. So that's another one. We can wish for people to be healthy. May you be happy. So that's about emotional health. It's wishing that others be calm and satisfied and not anxious. That's another way of sort of a prerequisite to becoming awakened, which I think is what we're after here, ultimately, for ourselves and spreading it outward from ourselves. And the last one, may you live with ease. Well, that's to the point where, yes, your basic necessities of life are met. And this is where you can really notice what's going on. It's partly about external circumstances, that those be controlled. For myself, I've found it helpful in the past few months to change the practice a little bit. Like I said, I've had trouble with this practice for a long time. I do it every day myself after I do my sitting meditation. And sometimes those phrases just seem stale. Why do I keep saying these phrases over and over again? And at a retreat this summer, one of the teachers talked about the 4 different aspects of kindness. One is compassion. That is feeling the suffering of others and ourselves. Feeling. It's about emotion. It's about feeling that suffering. The next is, and Sharon talks about this in the book too, and I've got a handout about it that I'll give out tonight too. Compassion, joy. often said to be called sympathetic joy, where we can feel the joy that others have. They have suffering, but they have joy too. That really helps us. That's that outer directed mindfulness. And equanimity is even-mindedness, and that's about setting boundaries, realizing that while we want all those people around us to be happy, and we do what we can for them, ultimately, what we do may have no effect. And being able to accept that and doing it anyway. So equanimity is important. And then kindness, so expressing those phrases. So that's something I've been experimenting with in recent months. And I'm going to share with you a little bit tonight in our guided meditation, if you will. I didn't ask you to check in, but we'll come to that. We'll have plenty of time for that tonight. And I've also got one other kindness practice that I've been experimenting with lately called Tonglen, which I'll get to later. So, thanks for listening, and let's try this meditation, all right? Just sitting and breathing, settling. So this practice involves some visualization. We bring to mind, beginning with ourself. And we might try to see a picture of ourselves or see what we look like in the mirror, kind of imagine my face. Say your name to yourself. And say to yourself, I feel your suffering. And indeed, we know what suffering we endure. Maybe name specifics. What has been hard for us? Breathing with that. I feel your suffering. Say your name again. I also feel your joy. I know things in your life that are good, that make you feel good, that have been enriching. I feel your joy. Equanimity. Say your name. I can be with you whatever happens, whether you're suffering, whether you're joyous, whatever happens in your life, I can be with you. I can love you. Say your name again, visualize yourself. Say these phrases. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you take care of yourself. body and mind. May you be peaceful and at ease. Be mindful of each moment with kindness and acceptance. May you be happy. Whatever life gives you, may you be satisfied. Letting go of that image of yourself. Bring to mind someone you care about, someone you are close to, someone perhaps who has been very kind to you in the present or in the past, someone that you feel good about. Say this person's name to yourself. May you be filled with loving kindness. I can feel your suffering. I know you've had some hard times. I know you. I know what's going on. I'm going to be with you. I can feel your suffering. I can feel your joy. There are good things in your life. I can feel that. Oh, how blessed you are to have these good things. May you be peace. No, I'm skipping ahead. Equanimity. I can be with you whatever happens. I can be steady through the hard times and the good times. I can love you. And then wishing these phrases. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you feel love from others, and may you be able to express love. May you be well. Take care of yourself. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be happy. Letting go of that image of someone close to you. Try to bring to mind someone that you encounter but you really don't know. Maybe you don't know their name or what they're going through, but perhaps you can picture them in your mind. Maybe somebody you saw today somewhere, maybe somebody in the grocery store or post office or the library. Somebody you don't really know. I can feel your suffering. I may not know what you're suffering, but I know that everybody experiences loss, pain, worry. I can feel your suffering. I can feel your joy. I know you have good times. I've seen your expression when I've encountered you. Sometimes I've noticed sadness and sometimes I've noticed happiness. I can be with you whatever happens. I can care about you. Yes. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be happy. Now bring to mind someone you know that is a little bit difficult. Maybe somebody who irritates you or who discredits you. Don't pick someone who has hurt you seriously at this time, but find someone you really don't like for some reason. If you know their name, say that to yourself. Picture them. Say to them, I can feel your suffering. I know there's reasons in your life that you act that way. You've experienced some hard times. I can feel your suffering. I can feel your joy. I know you have goodness, happiness in your life. I can feel that too. And I can be with you whatever happens, through your suffering, through your perhaps unwise actions, through your happiness. I can be with you. I can care about you. Saying that person, visualizing that person. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be happy. Letting go of that person. Attempt to expand our awareness broader to the people in this room, to all the people in this building, to the people in the area, out across the land, all the people everywhere, to the plants and animals. I can feel your suffering. I've seen the suffering on the news. I've seen roadkill, I've seen death, I've seen people who are suffering. I can feel your suffering. I can feel your joy. All of you have had times when you're happy just to breathe, just to see the sky, to be with loved ones. I can feel your joy. And I can be with all of you, whatever happens. I can be steady, noticing, caring. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be happy. May all beings be happy. I have a handout that illustrates these things. At the bottom of the first page.
Oh, thank you. I was thinking about how I was going to remember to write all that down.
Yes. So this is how I remember it, and this is why I use those particular phrases, because at one time I was taught this little chant, the chant of goodwill. And it goes like this. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be happy. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be happy. May we be filled with loving kindness. May all be well. May all be peaceful and at ease. May all be happy. So that's why I use those phrases. I can remember those. And I don't know about you, but I tend to hold melodies in my head during the day. People used to ask me why I was so calm. I would say, oh, I hum commercial ditties to myself. But now, this is usually what fills my day, which is much better. So see if that's helpful. At the top, what are sometimes called the four boundless qualities, or what I like to call the four different aspects of kindness. Loving kindness, which is offering goodwill to beginning with ourselves and spreading out. Compassion, feeling others. Sympathetic joy, feeling the joy for the blessings of others. And equanimity, which is the even-mindedness. Even-minded. acceptedness. I like that little cartoon too about our meditation journey. Not all just coast, just pedaling steadily upward to the goal. No, there's hills and valleys, and on the back are the phrases with the expanded meaning. So, may I be filled with loving kindness means both being loving and kind and also accepting love and kindness. Be well, taking good care of myself. Peaceful and at ease. Be mindful of each moment with curiosity and acceptance. And be happy, accepting what life has to give me right now, which allows gratefulness, gratitude, satisfaction. So see if those things are helpful with this practice, and I do encourage us all to make this a part of our regular practice. And, you know, it's a great practice to do spontaneously. When we're waiting in line, we see someone, you can say, oh, I hope you're okay. And it may not affect them, but it affects us. It affects our awareness. And maybe it will help them a little bit. And see that we care.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned there's one other kindness practice I wanted to mention that I found valuable recently, and this is called Tonglen, and this comes from Tibet. And it's very simple, you know, sometimes going through all these phrases, it is a concentration practice, trying to stay on track through all those. My mind goes off to stories about the person, you know. And this is much simpler. All it is breathing in the suffering and breathing out kindness. So you may be able to know specifically about a person. Breathe in, oh, I know they've had a lot of pain. I know that they are ill and maybe facing death. I know that they've been anxious. I know that they've been in trouble with the law, whatever. Breathe that in, and breathing out, kindness. Breathing out whatever they need, peace, healing. And you can, so sometimes I find if I'm having trouble staying with it, I can just do that, and I can stay with one person for 2 or 3 or 4 breaths, noticing, breathing in their suffering and breathing out wellness. Very simple one. It's really helpful. So thanks for listening. In a few minutes we can move on to the last week, but I'd like to hear from you about how you've been doing. And I do have your little cards that you filled out at the start of class to return to you tonight. We can do that at the end, so remind me. But tell me about your practice, or about questions you've had, or things you've noticed, if you can.
Well, I really love affirmations, and I use them in my classes. And so one morning when I was reading and taking notes, I just made myself, you know, little cards that have one affirmation on each one, and I use it. I love to have those little tidbits at the ready. I even use it at the tech school sometimes, you know, just to get people more focused. So I enjoyed the affirmations. I really loved these chapters. I really enjoy loving kindness meditation. I really believe in its effect and the interconnectedness that it can cause. Because I believe that, we're these energetic beings, and if we're sending out energy, positive or negative, it lands somewhere and it has an effect. And so if we can look at each person and take that breath and wish them well, I just think if everybody did that, it would make a huge difference. So I really loved this chapter. I went through some heavy stuff last week with the death of my dog and the mindfulness meditations and being able to feel these really intense emotions at times and just be able to say, oh, this is what I'm feeling right now, and this is exactly what I should be feeling right now, and I feel like because of this feeling I need to do this, so I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to let it go. And it helped me tremendously, because I often in my lifetime have had emotions, and being very empathetic towards other people perpetuate in me because I don't let them go, right? And so this has been very helpful. It's been very nicely timed, and I feel at this point proud of myself because I see progress, when most of the time I'm like, I'm still doing terrible at this, So, yeah.
Do you mind sharing some of your affirmations with us?
They're all from the book.
Okay.
They're all from the book, and they're from the chapter that we read. These in blue are all for caregivers, which I'm not a nurse. I think I'm going to become some kind of a hospice worker sometime, because I love being around elderly people, and I loved being with my dog as she died. I was with her for 5 days as she had a stroke, and for those 5 days, I really loved the process, even though it was gut-wrenching and terrible. So these are all for caregivers. May I accept this pain without thinking it makes me bad or wrong. I have arthritis, so pain is often at the forefront of my being, and so I love that one. May I remember that my consciousness is much vaster than my body. So even though I'm in so much discomfort and pain, that's not all of me. Like, there's something more and bigger. May I accept my anger, fear, and worry, knowing that my heart is not limited by them. And they go on and on and on.
Thank you.
I'm gonna have to do that. Go through my
And they
book
just put them around your house even. I was thinking I could have one on a mirror, I could have one, I tend to do that with little poems or prayers that I find so that my kids see them. I put them on the fridge, I put them all over, and they're
Pretty
short.
tricky.
It's just a way to have some kind of positive thing enter your brain.
You're gonna have to do that. I'll just go through the book and then, put them around my house.
Yeah.
In the kitchen, living room.
Exactly. In a book that you always read. Or...
Yeah, that's a very good idea.
Yeah.
I don't know, I haven't been practicing like I should have, I'll admit. I didn't quite finish the whole book either, just a lot of things going on. But I did try to. My brother ended up in the ER 2 weeks ago, and I tried to use some of that to keep me centered.
Good. Yes.
Is he doing okay?
Yeah, it's just like I told Mike before. I said I just at night. I feel like I just keep waiting for life, wondering like it's gonna happen again. This is the second time. And this time it happened at work. So, but yeah, I do have a part-time job, so that kind of keeps me busy too.
Well, in the loving kindness meditation would be a lovely way for you to feel like there's something you can do, even when it feels like there's nothing you can do. Like you can send him all those well wishes.
Mm-hmm.
And part of equanimity is setting some boundaries for yourself, maybe saying, I have to let him suffer, I can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
That happens.
My mom says, that's not my hill to die on.
Right.
And he lives alone, so I'm the closest one. But I can't do it all. We'll get it figured out.
My family has counted on me for so many things over the years, and I'm learning to let them do it on their own. To be there, but not to be counted on to help bail them out.
Well, being retired, my other brothers work, so I'm the one, we can't put it all on my mom. She has her own issues, but so it's me. And I'm the oldest, so it'll be okay. It'll be fine.
Well, do try to finish the book.
I will.
And take some of that responsibility of being the oldest off of your shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
So the other part tonight is about mindful communication, which Sharon alludes to in the book, but I found some other things that were really valuable that I have brought to this about mindful listening and mindful speaking. As I mentioned, this is about extending this this awareness out from ourselves out. And here's a handout that I'd like to go through with you that goes through some very good advice from Tara Brach about mindful communication. So the first two steps are about getting ready to pay attention when you're with someone. So first step is set your intention. Establish your intention to be present, honest, and kind in relating to others. This includes resolving not to say anything untrue or hurtful to anyone. So sometimes the best thing to say is nothing at all. That was my wife Jan and my song at our wedding. I love you best when you say nothing at all.
You say it best.
You say it best.
When
That's
you say
it.
nothing
That's
at all.
it. Allison Krauss.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. So set an intention to be present, okay? So you can do this, and it's a good idea if you're going to be with someone. Let's say it's one person, that's where it's easiest, but when you're with a group of people, it's a good idea. Oh, I'm going to try to be present. I'm going to try to be calm and notice what's going on. And the second step, let your body be an anchor. So you can always turn to your breath and your body. She says, choose 2 or 3 touch points, places in your body where you can reawaken a sense of presence. These might be sensations of breathing, the sensations in your shoulder, hands, stomach, or feet. Return to them as often as possible when you're communicating with others. So it brings you back to the moment and it calms you and allows you to pause, be there. Then the next 2 steps are about mindful listening and mindful speaking. So listen from the heart. Let go of your agenda for the conversation. Be aware of your mind wandering off into judgments. If you find yourself criticizing, analyzing, or interpreting, meet these thoughts with mindfulness. Let them go and return to receptive listening. Pay attention to the person's tone, pitch, volume, and words, allowing yourself to receive the mood and spirit of what another is expressing. So we're not saying don't criticize, don't analyze, don't judge, but be aware of it when it happens. Oh, there I go, and come back to just trying to listen.
I catch myself doing it.
That's good. That's a big step. Very often we will be listening to somebody and we're getting ready to what we're going to say back to them, right? We're thinking how we're going to respond. Or we think, oh, they've got this problem, I know how to fix that. Which, be aware of that and come back, oh, there I go. Just going to try to listen for now. So it's a mindfulness practice. And the next one is about mindful speaking. So when it's our turn to speak, try not to rehearse what you will say in advance. Rather, in the present moment, speak what feels true and meaningful. Let what you say arise from your immediate stream of experience. Begin with inward listening. Speak slowly enough to stay mindfully connected with your body and heart. So we usually have an agenda. We have certain things we want to say. Be aware of that. And try, slowing down and pausing really helps when we're trying to speak from the heart. The next one is about this. Pause, relax, and attend. During your interaction, pause repeatedly. Pause briefly before and after you speak. Pause as you are speaking to reconnect with your body and feelings. Pause when another is done speaking, giving some space for what they have said to settle. So obviously, this is not how conversation often goes, and it might feel really awkward. You might not get a word in, but attempt to do it, right?
Yeah, I know people who just talk and talk and talk.
That's right.
And I'm more of a listener.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the last one, practice radical acceptance. Forgive yourself and others, again and again, for forgetting our intention, forgetting to connect with our body, forgetting to listen without thinking, forgetting not to rehearse. So those are all going to happen, and you can try to be aware of them. So it's a practice. Try it. At my New Year's Eve party last year, this past New Year's Eve, I think most everyone had one drink, but I said, let's pause for a minute and meditate for 10 minutes. And it did settle things down for a little while. And it was about this. It was about pausing and being with people attentively. So I have an exercise for you. Remember this, Rose?
Yes, I do. Vaguely.
So there are two of you, so I'm just going to observe. I'm going to have you go over there so you're not on camera. So bring your chairs over here, next to each other.
Next to or facing?
Well, I'm going to position you. So
Okay.
Rose, you're going to be like this. Maybe you can be here.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? So you're not facing each other, and normally we would be using facial expressions to express that we're interested in listening. For this exercise, we're not going to use that very much. And I'm going to allow you each to speak. So the first one who speaks is being challenged to do mindful speaking. So I'm going to give you an assignment of a story to tell, and when you're talking, try to speak from the heart, be honest. Now for this exercise, if you want to tell something that's not really true, that's okay. It's just an exercise. But be spontaneous, pause, take your time. And for the listener, listen. Notice when your mind wanders, when you're preparing what you're going to say to them, when you're judging what they have to say, when you're comparing their story to things you've gone through, all those kinds of thoughts. But be aware of that and say, oh, there I go, I'm doing that, and just come back to trying to listen. So I'm gonna, Rose, I'm gonna let you be the speaker first, all right?
Okay.
And Meg, you're the listener, and then we'll take a short break and then we'll switch roles, okay?
Okay.
So your assignment, and I just picked this because everyone can always think of something in this respect. I want you to pick somebody in your life that is a difficult person. Somebody that irritates you, or that, you know, Thanksgiving's coming up. Somebody in your family who is always the rabble rouser, or just anybody that you have an issue with, okay? So it's just because we can always think of a story in this respect. And so you're gonna have 3 or 4 minutes to just tell this story and listen. Then I'll ring the bell and stop, and I'll have you reflect on that, and then we'll switch roles. Okay?
Okay. Can start?
Yes.
I have a sister-in-law that I have a hard time talking to. She's just very quiet. Sometimes I feel like we have nothing in common, that we can't. I try to start a conversation with her, but nothing clicks. She just seems very distant sometimes. She doesn't smile very much. She's a good person. And they have other 2 kids. And I always know their story is. And maybe she doesn't know how to talk. I don't know. And I try to start the conversation. Why, how are you? How's life? And sometimes if I do say something, I feel like she kind of snubs me. It's just very hard. I don't understand her. I can say,
Okay, take a moment, and if were the speaker, reflect on your speaking. Were you able to be spontaneous, to not prepare too much, but to just let things come to you, to be honest, truthful? If you're the listener, Did you notice times when your mind wanders, when you had some of these things about listening? Were you judging? Were you comparing it to your own story? Were you trying to figure out some advice to give the person, perhaps? Just notice that. And when you're ready, you can switch roles and tell your story and listen.
My mother is very critical and judgmental and harsh. She's also very loving and generous. It's not directed. It seems like a lot of her thoughts and words are harsh, critical judgments of others. And she values wealth and often talks about how much something may cost or somebody else's home, car, often prefaced with they're doing very well, things like this. I often feel like I never met her because of the choices that I've made, that wealth and money are not a priority as far as having more than I need. For me, living and spending time and working enough to take care of things, but not worrying about the next car, the next home, the clothes that I wear aren't important. And I often feel that when I'm around my mom, compared to my other siblings who are the four of them, they've all been very much like my parents, made choices like my parents' choices. And I feel like it's hard to be around her because I don't feel unconditional loved. I feel loved, but I don't feel seen. I don't feel heard. In order to not be the victim of the criticism, I often don't share much. It's a contradiction because if she wasn't my mother, I probably wouldn't choose to spend much time with her.
Take a moment to reflect. If you were the speaker, were you able to be spontaneous and not prepare too much? Could you speak from the heart, speaking things that you felt were true and meaningful? Were you able to pause and let it come to you? Speak slowly. If you're the listener, how was your listening? When did you notice that you were wanting to respond in some way, giving some advice or judging the other person's words, or perhaps noticing how that story is just something you've been through? Just noticing what thoughts happen, and whether you were the speaker and listener in both cases, just accept that. Forgive yourself for not being a perfect speaker and a perfect listener, but for doing your best and trying this exercise. Thank you. Let's come back in the circle.
I just want to do a big hug.
Oh.
How did that go?
Good, I think. Yeah, I just wanted to give her a big hug, or I was ready to cry.
Yes, yes.
I was. 'Cause I was thinking, you know, of my mom, and my mom and me have a close relationship. So, yeah, it just.
Yeah, we want to respond. Well, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's very good.
When I was listening, I definitely felt there were times when you went through the list of did you this, I was thinking about how I wanted to first like connect with you and say, well, I also have something like
Yeah,
that, and
that's
then
right.
and then what I would advise, like what I would want to say to like try to help the situation
Mm-hmm.
or offer, you know, suggestions. Like that's what I've noticed about myself. Kind of knowing ahead of time, being the second person, what the topic was. I did struggle when you were talking to not try to think about who I was going to talk
Right, yeah.
about. But what was funny is that the person that I thought I was going to talk about was not the person I talked about. Like just when it was my turn, that was the person that came to mind. So it ended up being spontaneous in that way.
Well, obviously, effective mindful communication does involve responding, but it's about knowing when to respond. And so just this little activity, I think, is kind of valuable in kind of teaching that. I've got one other handout about this that I got from the UW Health Mindfulness. And you can just look at this on your own later. It talks about effective listening, and then it talks about 5 impediments to listening that we kind of alluded to here. So take that home and read that later.
I love your handouts, thank you.
A lot of stuff here. So this is the end of our 6-week course. I'm inviting you to come back in 2 weeks. That will be November 30th, because I'm going to be here. Even if no one is here, I'm going to speak there. But try to come. It's going to be about mindfulness of physical pain.
I'll be here.
Very challenging. And the following week, one more week, on mindfulness of emotional pain, which is really getting down to the nitty-gritty, both of those. So do try to come. There's no assignment in the meantime. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. Continue to practice. And I have this handout that is about maintaining and enriching your practice. I'm going to go through this with you. These are just some things that I've gleaned from various resources, some ideas to keep it up, because it is a practice, and we learn by repetition and by continuing with it over days and months and years. It really does change who we are. So number one, set a daily time and place. So for most of us, it's a good idea to have a habit. There's a certain time, first thing in the morning, last thing in the evening, or whatever, and to have a place that you dedicate for this. Because when you sit down in this place, it like triggers you to be ready to meditate. So that's helpful. Number two, choose a practice. So we did a number of different kinds of practices over these last 6 weeks, and figure out what works best for you. So I always keep coming back to the sitting practice, being mindful of the breath, being mindful of the body, thoughts, and emotions. But you can also do it standing. Remember the walking practice, which is very valuable for many people. The yoga, with being aware of our body in different positions. The body scan, just noticing how our body feels specifically. The loving kindness meditation, which is about extending this awareness outward. And as I said, it's really worthwhile to keep doing that. So you may want to just feel, what do I want to do today? I'm going to pick one of these. Or you may say, I'm going to do certain ones every day. I'm just going to tell you what I do. My time and place is first thing in the morning by my fireplace. I first do some reading, and there's a thing down here about reading, because reading kind of is inspirational, it's motivational, so I find that helpful, a little bit of reading. Then, I gave you a list of some resources. Those are some good ones. Then I do sitting meditation. So I set a timer, and that's the number 3 is set a time. So it's helpful for most of us to set a timer, because just being there, and even if our mind wanders, we feel that this is not a good meditation, if we've set a timer, we've made a commitment, we're just going to sit there for that time, whatever happens, and that's worthwhile. After I do my sitting, I lie down, stretch out, and that's when I do my loving kindness meditation. Oh, I forgot. Before I do the sitting, and after the reading, I do a little mindful stretching, a little yoga to kind of wake up my body and mind. So that's my routine. And then I try to do some walking meditation during the day. So, pick what works for you. Number 4, read. So I think reading is from teachers is really helpful. Number 5, keep a journal. So it may be helpful. To some people, this is particularly valuable, and it serves several purposes. Very often, you'll have an insight or an idea, and after your meditation, writing it down kind of reinforces what you're doing. Also, you may find that just writing something, thoughts occur that you weren't even aware of just because you're writing. I was going to therapy, and the therapist suggested, I was working on my grief, and she said, write some letters to Nora, write some letters to Jan. And just starting that, I expressed some stuff that I didn't even know I was feeling and thinking. So journaling is helpful.
It's also a clearing of your mind. You know,
Yeah,
if you can't meditate because you just have so many things weighing on your mind, you can just write it all down. I often do that in my communication classes with my adult students because they come in and they can't focus because they just got done working and taking their kids to whatever, and they're just, you know, just write everything down that's on your mind right now. You have 2 minutes, and I set the timer and write for 2 minutes.
yeah.
And then it's like we take a deep breath and like, now for 3 hours, I've got you. And this is all we're doing, is this class for the next 3 hours. And so I think for meditating, that would be very helpful as well, to just take 2 minutes to clear your mind by writing in your journal all your mental garbage, and then being able to sit maybe quieter.
Writing it down helps us to let go of it.
Yeah.
Yes, very much so, right? Yeah. Number 6, attend a regular group meditation. So, Rose, you keep coming back to class. It's worthwhile. Being part of a group that's working together on this is helpful. We can talk about, you know, after class is over if we want to keep meeting. Number 7, attend a class or a retreat. So I've mentioned sometimes retreats, and these are particularly valuable. So Meg came to a retreat I did last spring where it was 4 hours on a Saturday, just a little brief retreat, mini retreat, where we just were quiet for 4 hours basically and doing some sitting, some yoga. We had a speaker, we ate lunch silently. That was
It was
helpful.
wonderful.
Yeah.
I do that once a month.
Well, I hope to do it again in the spring again this year.
Good.
Next year. And if you can go to a longer retreat, I can give you some resources, or you can go online. There's a lot of, there are some, a weekend or a day, and a lot of them now are available via Zoom, which makes it much easier. But it's really nice to go in person if you can. And just being there for several days, or this summer I did one that was a week long. You know, during my normal meditation, I'm going through all the stuff in my life, right? The chores I have to do, the plans I have, the memories of what happened. If you're there for a longer period, you get through that stuff, and what is left? It's really interesting. It can be exhausting just to be quiet all day long. But it's valuable, very valuable. Number 8 is about mindfulness with the activities of daily life. When you're brushing your teeth, just brush your teeth. Or with any activity. So pick an activity that you're going to do that it doesn't involve too much thinking. And just say, I'm going to pay attention to how this feels and what I'm doing for these few minutes. And number 9 is the same. It's about mindful eating. So if you can set an intention, oh, I have this meal, I'm going to slow down and just notice.
I grew up on a farm, and we ate fast
Uh-huh.
all the time, and it took me decades to break it. You know, the first one done, always, plate cleared, ready to get to the bar.
Or if it's a big family, you have to eat fast
Well,
to get enough
that's
food.
exactly it, too, yes.
That's why my dad ate fast all the time, because he grew up on a farm also.
And there was no
like
talking, like
11,
dinner
there were
was
like
about
11 kids in his
Wow.
family, yes, so that's why he always ate fast.
They'll take it right off your plate.
Number 10, when waiting, do a brief meditation. So, you know, a lot of times when we're waiting in line, it can be irritating. It's like inconvenient in our day, but we can view it as an opportunity. Oh, I'm waiting here in line at the grocery store. I have time to notice what's going on. I can breathe. I can express loving kindness to these people. It's a great little opportunity. We don't have the waiting in a small town like they do in cities, but we
Yeah.
still do have some. Or, now, I don't know, what do you think about this? When you're driving and you have to wait for traffic to clear. Yeah, you have to be mindful of what's going on and take your time. Don't rush out there.
And I don't know if it's mindful, loving kindness meditation, but when I'm on the interstate, if I'm driving or my husband's driving, I'm always talking to the cars, like, you stay in your lane. I see you, like, my hand always comes up like that too. You might have some car protected.
That's good. I don't know what that is.
I do the opposite, well, kind of the same thing, like, and this is just like on a country road or a regular state highway. All of a sudden somebody's passing from the other direction, and I start getting really mad. Like, are you nuts?
Yeah.
You know, because then person's gotta pull in front of the car he's passing.
Right.
I mean, there's a couple times I've had to like kind of almost pull over to the side of the road.
Yeah, so
But it's like,
it's normal to judge them.
yeah, but yeah, that's a judgment.
May you be safe.
I gotta remember to do that now. It's like, what's your hurry?
Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right,
Or
we
they
don't know.
pass you and then they turn off.
And I have a friend who's a judge, and he says a lot of people habitually drive like that, and 1 in 100 times they're gonna have a serious accident from doing that. It happens.
Right.
1 in 100 sounds like not very many, but you know, if you do it 5 times a day, that means every couple of weeks you're gonna have something happen.
Yep.
And my reaction is always just stay as far away from them as possible.
Yeah.
Like wherever they're, whatever, however I'm involved in it, like slow down, get out of the way,
Yeah.
let them do their thing.
Yeah. Number 11. Take a moment to just listen, just feel body sensations, just see. I gave that one handout about the pause. So every once in a while in our day, just stop and notice. Breathe. Number 12, pause when in stressful situations. So those are the times when maybe we tend to react and not act mindfully and do things that maybe aren't appropriate. So if we can notice that we're stressed, taking a breath gives us that little space there. Number 13, notice when you are judging yourself, others, experience, and sensations. So when you're judging yourself, when you're judging others, when you're judging your experience, and when you're judging your sensations, just notice that. Not saying not to do it, because we will. Number 14, a little different, become more aware of your consumption habits. Notice what and how much you're eating, drinking, buying, watching. Noticing if what you're doing is healthy or not. And please keep up your practice. Please. And realize, like that cartoon I gave you earlier, we're going to have bumps in the road, times when we find we can't do it or haven't done it for a while. Just get back on and start again. Some teachers like to talk about beginner's mind. We're always beginning again. So I have your little cards you gave me, and I realized I should have had people put their names on it, but I think I can figure out whose these are. Let's see.
Mine was the crying knees.
Crying knees.
That one?
Yep.
That one?
Yeah.
So maybe kind of take a look and see where you're at now with that. I'm going to share my summary from looking at the cards from the 13 of you in the 3 different classes. What were the biggest stressors? Well, far away, the number one was family. Whether it's marital, parenting, or other family members, stresses with them, that was number one, far and away. In fact, almost everyone put that down. Number 2 was health concerns, either for ourselves or for someone else. Number 3 was financial concerns, worrying about money, that's common. And the last 2 were pain and anxiety. There were some others that were less common, but those were the numbers. And the strategies that people employed to help with this, number 1 was being with other people, talking with friends, being with people. Number 2 was exercise. Number 3 was meditation. And number 4 was yoga. And then there were a lot of other things that people did: prayer, journaling, being in nature, wine.
I thought alcohol would have been there for sure.
Not many people were brave enough to mention that. So, I think that's really.
That's an interesting breakdown.
Mm-hmm. We'll close with a meditation, and if you care to stay to talk more, I'll tell Rebecca to turn the camera off. Well, let's see, where do we got? An hour and a half, pretty good. And I hope all of you out there who are watching it or learned something tonight. We did a lot of stuff tonight, so it's in the book. And if you weren't able to be here but need the handouts, please let me know. Finding a posture where we can be still, comfortable, and alert for a few more minutes. Noticing our body and our breath. Noticing the thoughts and the feelings we've experienced here and letting them go. Letting them wash through us. They're all there. We can come back to them later. But for right now, just being with each breath. Coming home to this breath, just resting here. Thanks for your practice.
Thank you. These have been just a gift. I really enjoyed this. I'll definitely be here the next 2 weeks
Good.
after Thanksgiving. And like Ruth, I'm reading about Ruth right now, so I love that. I will be probably joining you again for another session because I really have been, I enjoy being in class. I'm an educator, but I love being a student.
I'll I'll let you know for sure, but I think I'm probably gonna do a 6-week class again in January and February.
Excellent. Cause you don't do any in the summertime, I don't think.
That's right, usually winter and fall.
Well, yeah, okay.
But I'm gonna cut back a little bit, and perhaps I mentioned to you that I'm preparing a new class for next fall. It's gonna be about mindful aging,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes. Mhm.
so
Awesome.
I'm really excited about that, so I've got a
And
lot
we're
of
all
work to do.
aging, so we're all
That's right,
welcome,
whatever our
right?
age.
Great, oh, that's exciting. And what a great creative process for you to,
Oh, yes, you know, teaching is
it's
a
fun to,
real gift, yeah,
it's fun to lay it out
yeah.
and plan and
Mhm.
good. Lucky us. We can look forward to that too. I would be interested in a retreat, a longer retreat, a
Uh-huh.
weekend retreat. If you have some suggestions ever, or you see
Okay.
something,
Yes,
I would love for you to share that. I mean, I can go look online too, but it's always good to get a recommendation if you know one is good, or
I'll
who
send
the
you an email.
presenters are.
good, yeah.
Cause I've done some yoga retreats and I just, I don't get to them often enough right now where I'm in my life, but they're really powerful
Yeah,
to
Good.
get away and just totally submerge
yeah,
in the experience.
good.
And then you have what's called the after amnesia, like you leave and it's like you forget so quickly what that experience felt like.
Yeah.
And when you try to explain it to people who aren't there, it just starts to fizzle. Like you're just like, it's not
Yeah.
Mhm.
sounding like it was. You know.
And at first coming back to normal life, it seems so strange, so like, what? What is this? What am I doing?
Right.
It's like a
another
fantasy or a movie or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
My dad always went on retreats to Monte Alverno.
Mm.
Yeah, he did that. That was always in December.
Uh-huh,
Like a men's retreat.
Yeah, men's retreat.
Uh-huh.
Nice.
Yeah, just for the weekend. Yeah.
Good for him.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine my dad doing that. I wish. I mean, that's wonderful.
My dad was pretty, what's the word I want to use? Straight.
Rigid.
Dedicated
Uh-huh.
Catholic,
Mhm.
so. Mhm.
You can also do a self-guided retreat. You can just take a day and say, I'm gonna be by myself today. I'm gonna meditate, I'm gonna read, I'm gonna walk. I'm not gonna do anything for anyone else. I'm not gonna talk to anyone else, and let your family know this is a day.
Mhm.
John Kabat-Zinn talks about that very eloquently, and it's worthwhile just doing that.
I often say, I just want to be home alone.
Uh-huh.
I don't even want to go anywhere. I just want no one else to be here. I just want a day, like you said, to just
Yeah.
do whatever I want to do. Well, maybe when the teens.
There's a retreat, 3-day retreat, I'm going to in January at Holy Wisdom Monastery in Madison. So it's really nice to be in a setting like that where your needs are taken care of, the meals are served, and stuff like that. In fact, my friend Barb and I are talking about doing a self-guided retreat as a couple there sometime, to just take some time to meditate, talk a little bit, and they have, it's run by a group of Catholic women, so they have their practice and you can experience what they're doing too, so that's kind of
Neat.
fun. Yeah.
Holy Wisdom,
Holy Wisdom Monastery,
it's a great name.
yeah.
Sounds like a place we should all go.
That's right.
Thank you so much, Michael. Your guidance is so good.
See you in 2 weeks.
Sounds good.
Yep, and have a nice Thanksgiving.
Yes,
Happy
indeed.
Thanksgiving.
Yes, let's see how I'll have a review of Thanksgiving
Okay.
and your mindfulness practice.
Well, we're actually, 3 of us are just going out to eat for
Okay, well,
Thanksgiving.
maybe that'll work.
Yeah,
I've got a Thursday, one dinner, Friday, another dinner, both with large groups of people. One will be sober, one will be with alcohol, so we'll see how those
That'll
are.
be a good thing to compare.
Yeah.
Oh, that'll burn. Yeah, once you get moving again.
yeah.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night. How were the dinosaurs?
Oh, they had a lot of fun.
Uh-huh.
They danced, they
Wow.
ate a bunch of cookies.
Did they eat all the